have one.
By the way, I am recording this. However, um, you may not see this posted immediately, or it may take some time before it gets posted. Because we feel if you took the time and effort to get on today and join us, you should benefit, not people who don't want to jump on and watch it later on just because. You just have to join us. So that's just that. Now I'm smiling, by the way. Can you tell? There we go. That's what my smiling eyes look like. So I'm going to be in the background here helping Joni as needed. And we got people that are still jumping on. So Joni, it's all yours. You can start whenever you like. And just let me know when you're ready to screen share any information that you would
Sure.
like. So let me spotlight the camera on you. There we go.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. If you could turn your video on, that would be great so we can see faces. That helps me to know if you have a question or confused or whatever. So I thought we should start out with a piece of music just to kind of get us back into the music vein, and then we'll go from there. This workshop is for anyone who has a touch screen. That would include SU models as well as the E models. If you can touch your screen and have it do things for you, then this is the right class for you. So let's start out with a little bit of music first, and then we will go on from there. Right. That was a little After the Lovin'.
Beautiful, Joni.
So, as I said, this is for touchscreen owners. If you have a single touch screen, one screen, that's known as your home screen. And I'm going to try to describe we have actually some people have a double screen, two screens. Some people actually even have a third screen. The more you have, the more it can do for you. So, but I want you to know on the touch screen um, what everything does on it. Now, they're not really called buttons per se on a screen, they're called panes. And I just want to, if Robert, if you'll put up the first screen sharing for the home screen. We have a home screen. Some of this will be obvious to you, which is okay. It's always nice to have a refresher, including even for myself. And some of you, sometimes people go from a midline instrument
Is this
to
the
a
right
touch.
page, Tony?
Yes, it's beautiful.
All right.
Sometimes people go from a midline instrument and all of a sudden they're in a touch screen, and so a lot of things are new to you. But once you have a touch screen, it opens up a whole new world for you, because then you are able to touch the screen and the screen will work for you, and that's what's really important. What you're looking at right here on the left hand side is the home screen. Of course, it gives you your tempo, it gives you your chord, and in case you didn't realize it, you see there's a C chord slash C. That's because that's the last pedal I played. If you are playing pedals, it will notate what pedals you are playing. And then, of course, it tells you the key that the instrument is in, which in this case, on this diagram, it is in the key of C. So, your tempo can be changed, and it works with the tempo of the backgrounds that you use. It also works for the golden harp tempo as well. So if you don't have a rhythm on and you're just using golden harp, you can up the tempo on the golden harp or slow it down by using that tempo scroll button there. Okay, right below the tempo, you see what says, what does it say? Song setup, that pane. Now, we have different ways of being able to access this. So, from a prestige on, you have an alpha pad, which I'll get to in just a minute. So we can access everything through the alpha pad. If you're on a Stardust or below, you do not have an alpha pad, you only have a numeric keypad. So then it would require you for song setup to touch this pane. And what song setup will do is it will list all the song titles alphabetically. Keep in mind, it does not play the song for you, it just sets up the instrument for you. Next to the right of that is the music style list. That's all the rhythms. Again, they are in alphabetical order, and you scroll to the rhythm that you see you want. And when you touch it, it will turn the rhythm on for you. You don't have to go looking and finding buttons or anything like this. This is the super elite instruments that do so much for us and make it so much easier for you. When we go down below song setup, you see it's a USB, and that controls all the things you're going to do with your USB. Load presets, save presets, even formatting your USB is possible there. Renaming presets, all those things. And if you're not familiar, because you have not really gotten a whole lot involved with a USB yet, that's a great reason to have a help session in store. If you can't be in store, we can do a help session by Zoom and teach you how to use that. If you're looking at the next diagram, you see the finger is pointing at genius. Now, this is important for people who do not have a second screen, because the genius, when you touch it, it will come up on your home screen and it will tell you what all is in the genius. Now, the other word language that's different in the E series is sounds. So this example is by genius because that's the terminology that exists in this particular model that we're using and the model that you're seeing on the screen. So we have orchestral genius 1, orchestral genius 2, we have solo genius 1, solo genius 2. What that equates to with an E series instrument is orchestral sounds 1, orchestral sounds 2, solo sound genius, solo sounds 1, solo sounds 2. And then another piece of information is there's a tab called upper genius, or yours may be called upper sounds. And then there's a lower genius for your lower sounds on the chords, or lower genius or lower sounds. So you can virtually touch, as you see on the right hand diagram, it's telling me what's in everything. That's important if you don't have small screens to the right of your main double screen and to the left. If you have those, it's going to tell you everything that's in those particular places. But if you don't, then you want to know, well, what's it all doing? Then you can press the genius, and that's pretty valuable for you to know. And it's also a very easy way for you to change the sound if you want. You just touch the pane you want to change, and you scroll till you get to the sound that you want, and then you're done. That's all you have to do. But it's important to see that, especially for people who have a single screen. That's the way you're going to find out, well, what's in all these places right now? What sound am I going to get? Another really good point with the second screen, the screen on the right, as we scroll down here, we see the USB information. On the right, if we touch Custom 4,
All right,
it will
trust it.
then tell us all the sounds that are on our rhythm preset or style setup at the time. So I don't have to guess. I just look at my screen and it tells me what all sounds are there, what sounds are on the upper keyboard, and what sounds are on the lower right split. So that's kind of an important factor to have, and I use that religiously. I always have Custom 4 on to show me what sounds are in front of me. That doesn't matter whether I'm using a USB or not. Like with After the Love, I didn't use a USB, but I was able to see all the sounds that were available to me on my rhythm preset or um, styles, your music style sounds. So I want to stop there just for a second and before we go to keypad and just see if there's any questions so far. Are you seeing any questions, Robert?
No, I see a lot of people thinking really hard, though.
Okay. That's all right.
Some of them look like they're in pain.
It's good to think.
Some are smiling. Okay, that's good.
That's good. Okay, so now we go to keypad, and that's a whole new world, especially when you have a double screen, because on the keypad, if you have an alpha pad, which displays the alphabet, when the keypad first comes up, it comes up with numbers. It's the numeric keypad. And then up at the top, it says alphabet. And people also often get confused with that. It says alphabet, but they're all numbers. That's because the screen behind it is the alphabet in waiting for you. So if you want to use the alphabet, you touch alphabet, and now they all become the letters of the alphabet. And on the left-hand side at the bottom of that screen, you will see that you have song setup, and on the right is style list. So if I know, for instance, that I want a particular style, but I don't know where it is, then I go to my keypad, which I'll try to um, get Joe to come over here a little bit. Go to my keypad. I'm going to put on my alphabet, and I'm going to want to find, let's say, what do I want to find? Let's say I want to find cab driving. So I go to my keypad and I put in my C, which when I touch first, it's an A, then it's a B, then it's a C, and I touch style list, and now it takes me right to the C's. So then I scroll till I get to cab driving, and I touch it, and the whole instrument is totally set up for me. So here we go. So if you have a double screen, all I use is the keypad. I don't go to the home screen and use songs setup or style list. And the reason I don't is because A, the keypad is faster, and B, when I go to keypad, I can have my option of song setup or style list. So it makes it much easier for you to access it. Now, one thing I do want to remind you about song setup, and this really has nothing to do with the screen, but I just like to remind people because oftentimes we forget. When you do song setup, it sets up a particular sound for you. It's not one of your 11 sounds. It's just a sound. So if you decide halfway through your song that you want to change the sound and you go and you touch a number, it's going to be general presets, which is probably what you don't want. You probably want your rhythm presets or your style sounds. So you have to remember to activate now. If you want to get off that first sound, you do need to activate and put on your rhythm preset, and then now all your sounds are appropriate to the rhythm that you are using. So that's just a sidebar little comment, because I know a lot of people run into having forgotten that, oh yeah, my general presets are on. I don't have the sounds I'm looking for.
Now, Joni, there was a question in the chat real quick.
Sure.
Judy asked, where did she find that section?
What section?
Yeah, so Judy, I don't know if you're there. Can you expand on it, or even in the chat? So I'm not sure if you can unmute yourself.
Okay, where did she start to get to that screen?
Which
You went to the screen and you pushed what first?
When I pushed what?
You pushed, and that was my question. What is it you pushed first to get to the ABC screen?
Oh, I went to keypad and I used my alpha pad.
There's a thing on the screen that says keypad?
On your home screen, yes, ma'am.
Okay, you went to
Oh,
keypad.
Judy, can you see that here?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh.
so right here, there's a button on here.
Oh, I see.
Then you have Sterling, right, in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, so right here, actually, it doesn't matter. Anybody has a touch screen has this screen here. If you have two, you have two, but everybody has at least this screen right here. If you could see me kind of moving my mouse. So right there, she touched keypad.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Now, if we go on a little further, and if you put something on, let's say you touch the Genius pane, and then you say, I don't want the Genius pane. How do I get rid of it? Well, if you just touch your feature clear, it will take the Genius pane off. So feature clear, my analogy for feature clear, it's like closing the book. So whenever you do something in the screen, when you're finished, you want to close the book. So we touch feature clear, and then we get out of it. And there's a lot of important reasons for that. One, which I won't really talk about in depth right now, but one is when you're changing your right split, your lower keyboard right split. If you don't close the book, if you don't touch feature clear after you've touched the note you want to split to, every note after that you touch will keep changing your split. So it's important to close the book and get out of that so you can see your screen. So now if we get out of that and we move on to the next handout, we have my settings.
Charlotte Hunter has a question while I'm pulling it up.
Sure.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Hi, Robert. I'm not sure if it's just my end, but I can hardly hear Joni. Is the volume not working?
Well, I can hear Joni.
Uh-huh.
I have mine turned up.
Maybe it's my setup then.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, I've got mine up and I can hear her pretty good. So you might want to check your volume. We could boost her up a little bit as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I boosted mine up all the way, and it was still a little different. But I think just now Joni did something. I don't know what she did.
I just moved the mic closer to my mouth.
Okay,
Is that better for you?
that's a little better. Yes, thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Is there another question?
Nope, that was the question, I think. How do you turn up your microphone volume?
Okay. All right.
Wear headphones.
We're going on. Yeah, headphones help a lot. And I didn't really realize it until, we do a lot of Zoom meetings and things. And I lost the ability to have audio for some reason on my computer. And I went and got the earbuds. And it's twice as clear. The quality is double. It's very, very good. And it's the only thing I use when I'm on Zoom meetings and things like that. Right now, obviously, I'm not using them because I have the microphone to use. So I'm moving on now, if you'll scroll, Robert, to my settings. And I just want to, if you only have my settings if you have a double screen. And my settings is really, really important, whether you use it or not. But what I found from the head engineer at Lowry is often my settings has nothing in it to start. There's nothing there. Now, what do you do with my settings? Well, let's say, for instance, you like to change your right-hand split. Or let's say you want to keep the bass volume lower than it normally is. Or you want to use next preset on the foot switch. Whatever it is that you like to regularly use, you set up the instrument just like you would do for anything you wanted to play. You may or may not put on a rhythm. Maybe you just set up the easy button. Whatever you do, and then you touch set 1. The word set is an engineer term. For a layman like me, the word is memorize. It's memorizing what you have put on the instrument. Every and all features, any sounds, any rhythms, any sound effects, anything you want, you can memorize into my settings, set 1 or memorize 1. Now it's something in there. It's very critical that you have something in my settings. Even if you never use my settings again, you want to always have something there. Because if you accidentally hit 1 and for whatever reason, when you turn on your instrument, you hit 1 and there's nothing in there, it's going to cause you some issues. Now, if you don't have a lot of different things, if there's 2 people in a family playing, then of course the lady would get my settings 1 and the gentleman would get my settings 2. But you want something in both of them. And even if you make it the same, if you put the same thing in my settings 1 as you do in my settings 2, That's perfect. That's going to be very beneficial just in case you accidentally touch one of them one time when you're on the screen and you didn't mean it. That way, it'll just set up what you had and then you can go on and change it. Now, you see the other pane at the bottom says initial. That's the engineer's term for default. In other words, if you want to get rid of what you put in My Settings and you want it back to the factory, then you do initial and touch 1, and then it takes out what you have put in there. So it's just a terminology of set and initial. Set means memorize. Initial kind of means erase, if you will. And you can change My Settings at any time. But when the beauty of My Settings and the benefit for you is when you turn on the instrument, if you like things to be a certain way, you just touch 1 and everything is set for you. In other words, I don't have to go turn on my next preset. I don't have to lower my bass. I don't have to do anything because it's already there and it turns it all on for me. So that takes a lot of time and less button pushing to be less stressful for you to do, because it's just like it's the same thing as the settings, the seat settings in your car. You know, you have a seat setting on 1, you have a different seat setting on 2, and you just touch it and it puts the seat where you want it. In my case, I'm very short, so my seat really goes up. But you have the opportunity. That's the same concept as it is on the instruments of My Settings. Any questions so
Yeah,
far?
Inez has 2 hands up. She has her regular hand,
Okay.
3 hands. She had 2 regular hands and a blue hand. So she must really want to ask a question. And then Sue is next. Okay.
Okay.
Sue, you also have.
Okay. Okay, my question is, we went over last week if you want to, let's say, put something on your pedals. If you want to put glide or something on your pedals.
Correct.
When you turn the organ off, it goes away. So if you put that in your setting, that will stay
Yes.
every time you put the organ on?
Yes, it will.
Yes, okay.
If it's
Thank
in
you.
My Settings, it will stay as long as you turn your setting on. You know, touch 1 or touch 2 wherever you have it.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Very good question. Looks like we have a question from Sue.
Sorry. Joan, this is Sue Kelly, and I own the Inspire. It was previously owned. So would that person have put something in My Settings?
No, you don't have a double screen on the Inspire, so you don't have My Settings.
Oh, well, that solves a problem. Okay, thank you.
Or not, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is when you do get an instrument that has bank presets, you especially if it's pre-owned, somebody may have something in those bank presets and you wouldn't know it. And so it's really good to go ahead and reset your banks so that they set back to the factory in case someone has put something in your bank. So you might want to keep that in mind on the Inspire, because you don't know if there's something in there or not unless you look at your banks.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing, Sue, Don sent me a text when this class started and said to tell you that if you need a My Settings screen, to call her. He has a couple extra laying around.
Yes, and I would give you my phone number as well.
Okay, Carolyn, you have a question, hand up.
Yes, Joni, I have the Aria. On the left-hand side, there are 5 custom buttons.
Correct.
And I have changed them because on number 5, there was the screen for the organ.
Keyboard.
If I put that in the number 1, would that stay there? In other words, number 5 was formerly the screen, showing the screen. If you take number 5 and put it into the setup number 1, would it stay there? as you previously mentioned, that if you had put another sound in there, it would stay there.
Well, my first question to you would be, what's the purpose of doing that?
Well, just in case I want to, supposing I'm playing, reviewing a song on the song list,
Right.
and I wanted to see what the educator was playing his
Okay.
hands, then wouldn't that be an advantage to be able to watch so that you get an idea?
Definitely. And I know, 99.9 people don't play pedals, but that screen is very important. If you're wanting to play pedals and you want to watch, because everyone you touch will light up, and that's better than actually watching your feet. You don't want to watch your feet when you're playing pedals.
Right.
So that screen's important. Now, what you would have to do is put the screen, where is the keyboard screen now?
Well, mine is just gone. I have another setup in there that I use all the time. I don't want this, I don't use the screen that often, only when I'm listening to an educator play a song,
Right.
and then I can see what he or she is doing, where her hands are.
Right. Well, first you would have to default your custom buttons back
Right,
so that the screen is there on number 5.
right.
And then I believe, but I'm not positive and I don't want to lead you astray. I can look it up at a later point. But I believe if you then set 1, you have now memorized that. So that would come up. But if you change your custom 5, I'm not sure you can maintain that keyboard.
So you want
Okay.
number 5 to be on number 1, if I may jump in? Is that
Go ahead,
right?
Robert.
Am I hearing that you want the custom 5, which would normally be the keyboard screen, to be on number
Correct.
1?
Right,
Right. So what Joni said is you'd have to bring it back to default, would be the easiest, or you'd have to pull the feature up on the screen. So whatever way you get to it. So what you would then do is once you have that because when you push number 5 by default, most
Right.
organs have the preset information screen. The objective here is to get it up on the screen. Okay.
Right.
Once you have it on the screen, then you can memorize it to custom 1.
correct. Right,
And then you'll have it. So you could do it either way. If it was me and I had something on number 5 already, I
mhm,
probably won't set it back to custom, because then I'd have to reprogram number 5.
exactly.
So what I would do is pull up that preset or the feature, the keyboard screen up on the screen,
Right,
and hit memorize 1, and then I have an option of saving that as the default or the screen.
okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yes,
And you can technically save it on my settings if you want to go even
yes,
Which, if you obviously you do because you have an Aria, but if you have a 2 keyboard, a 2 double screen, your keyboard screen is also in the features on page 7, and you can obtain it that way as well.
okay, thank you.
We have one more question from Owner.
Sure.
I have a feeling her name is not Owner. Go ahead. I can't hear you. Let's see. I see it moving. If we could hear you. Could you type it in the chat by chance? We can't hear you. So maybe type it in the chat and I'll keep a lookout. While you're doing that, one more question before you go on, Joni. Barbara Allen has her hand raised. Barbara?
Hi, Joni.
Hi.
This may sound like a foolish question, but on the My Settings, you said initial will take off what you've put in 1 or 2. But when you're going to put something in there, do you press 1 and then the word set, or 2 and then the word set?
No, you push set and then 1, or set and then 2.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
And by the way, there's no foolish question except the one that someone did not ask.
Okay. I'm trying to, okay. So is there a way to see what you have put in my settings is the question she was trying to ask.
Well, there is a way, but it's tedious. Like when I was showing people how to do it, I always wrote down what we put in there because chances are we won't remember. The only other way to see what's in my settings is you touch one and then you have to go along through the whole panel of the instrument and see what's turned on. So I always tell people write it down so that in your little notebook that you keep so that if you forget what's in the settings, you can go ahead and look it up. You can see it because whatever's on in that set one or number one for my settings, everything will light up that you put in there. But you would have to tediously look one light at a time to figure out what it was. So when you do it, it's a good idea to jot that down.
Yeah, so to add to that, so it's not like a preset where when you save a preset away and you pull out the preset information and it tells you this is the sound. My settings is literally saving every button that's on that organ in essence. So when the way to see it is you press it and you look at the whole organ like she just said, and you're seeing it. That's what that does. That makes that different than a preset. Did that make sense? No, we can't hear you, so a nod. Okay, she nodded yes. So that's good. So we're running out of time here, and I want you to get to your next material. Do I have more? Oh wait, one more question, Ken.
Yeah. Is there any way to do my settings on a Rialto?
No, there is not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just remember, you can. Where's your store at? The Villages?
Yes.
Yeah, Dawn wanted me to tell you she's got a few extra my setting screens. I'm just kidding.
So until you have a double screen, you're not able to have my settings. And remember, it's not, I'm not pushing double screen just so you get a double screen. It's what the instrument can do for you. It's the amount of memory. Once I have a double screen, I have more memory in my instrument, so it can do more things for me, which a single screen cannot do. Now, a single screen opens up your whole world and makes everything so much easier. If you don't have a touch screen, you have to work a little bit because you're accessing everything by scrolling. It's tough. But once you have a touch screen, then you find out how much easier things are. And once you have a double screen, now you never lose your home screen. It never goes away because it's on the left. And then you have your other information that can be provided on the right screen. And just as a sidebar there, when we get to the ARIA can have every sound available and everything listed, marquees as well, on the bottom of the screen. So that's like a third screen. So you can see it. I don't prefer to use it that way because it looks very busy and it's hard for me to focus in on one particular sound that I'm looking for. So I choose to view that a different way. And I keep the two screens there, but not the other information on the third screen. Questions? So there's a lot of things that you can put in my settings. Like for instance, if you like to do start stop, that would be something that you could put. Maybe you're going to put that on a pedal natural, and maybe you like your foot switches a certain way, or you want to use any of those 21 functions I talked about last week. You can utilize all of that by saving it, by doing set one, and it will all be there for you. Then when you turn your instrument back on, you're good to go. You touch one, don't touch set, touch one only, and then you have what you've already initially put in the instrument for you. So it's really convenient and it's a great time saver for you. Question?
Yeah, owner, you have a question again? Let's see if we could hear you this time. If not, you could type it. Nope, can't hear you. You can type it. I'm looking at the chat. So while you're typing that, well, Carolyn, you have another question?
Yes, Joni, can you, instead of turning on the power button, can you just turn on the My Settings 1? Would that bring the organ on?
No,
No, I didn't think so. Okay. All right.
that you
Thank
can,
you.
maybe that'll be a feature for our next instrument.
I can't go any higher, Joni.
I want one that says turn on.
Okay.
Yvonne, Amy, did I say that right?
Hi, Levon.
Gotta unmute yourself.
Can you unmute yourself, Levon?
I think I'm unmuted now.
There you go.
Okay. My question is, if you put these settings, like something to your foot pedals, like the FX or the start and stop, and put it in My Settings 1, then if you something you're working on to your banks, does it memorize those settings to your bank?
To my knowledge, no, it does not.
Okay, so that I just have to set them up and memorize. Okay, thank you.
Because
What
my
was the
setting
question? What was
Pardon?
is different than bank savings. They're
Yes.
different things.
But if I have it set up and I'm playing that way, and I want to memorize that into a bank with what I'm playing, will it should pick that up since it's turned on, shouldn't it?
Well, yes, if you've already been utilizing it and you already save these things to different places, and then you decide to put it in a bank, then yes, it will be in the bank.
Okay, that was my question then. Thank you.
Great. Robert, did you have a comment?
Nope. That was it.
Nope. Any other questions? I know this is a very brief overview of what the window does. If you have My Settings, it's very, 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 very important to have something in both of them. If you don't, and you're on the home screen, if you start utilizing your keypad, if you have AlphaPad especially, or the numbers, you have numbers for every sound that's in your instrument in the back of your manual. And if you know the number, then you can use your numeric numbers and then touch the place where you want that sound to be. And it's a very fast access way to utilize the screen. So it really, really is very, very beneficial, including the Genius, what it says there, as far as knowing what's on, what sounds are on. You can't change them if you don't know what they are. And that was just a little
Joni, can you hear
preview.
me?
Like I said, we can Zoom privately to help you with your personal assistant. Um, we can do it by phone if you have your manual. There's a lot of ways we could help you, but if you have a really good understanding of the screens you have, one or two or three or whatever, that's really going to help you use more of the instrument. This is not about playing technique. As you could see today, we didn't have tons and tons of music. I'm not talking about the features so much. That is the feature, those screens, and they're very, very valuable. So if there's no other questions,
No, there's two more, and then we got to get ready for the concert.
okay.
So we'll start with Dottie. Dottie's iPad.
Joni, I maybe I missed it. How do you know if there's anything in your settings already? Because I bought this obviously secondhand, and I don't know. How do you check that?
Well, if you touch one
Uh-huh.
and anything lights up, then there's something
Oh.
there. If I were
Okay.
you, I wouldn't even bother worrying. I would assume there's nothing there, and I would
Okay.
just put in for you what you personally want.
And that will erase what's there already, or be saved over what's there already?
First, you would do initial, which is erase,
Okay.
and then put your own work in and do set one. Memorize.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Carolyn.
Joni, on the My Settings 1 and 2 on the ARIA, I don't use that too often, but you're giving me a concern regarding having something on the in the area. What? How do I know what's on the factory setting for My Settings 1 and 2?
Touch one,
Okay.
and you have to look at everything to see what's turned on.
Okay, 1 or 2.
One, well, both. I check both.
What would be in the factory settings for my setting 1 and 2? Nothing?
The plain organ sound.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, default. But I
Okay,
when I always do with an organ, when I get an organ, I just initialize it originally. I just put it
Oh.
back. Because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to end up putting something in there that you want anyway. So
okay,
I just initialize it, put it right back to the factory that way. And the hardware reset's not supposed to delete those. So the question is, how do I get rid of the one that I put and you just replace it? It's always a replacing.
Right.
Unless you want it back to the factory. All right.
okay. Thank you so much.
Owner, are you able to get your question? No? Can we hear you yet? I'll give it one more shot. Otherwise, we'll have to.
Do you want one more song or not?
I don't think we can.
Okay.
But we do have, if everything works out, I told everybody last week that we were going to reschedule your thing. So they might get to hear more songs from you in a near future. Is that right? Just go like this. Nod your head.
We'll
Yes.
talk about it.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, listen. We have a concert starting in 15 minutes, and in the email, if you got the email today, it has the link for the concert today. What I have to tell you is, let me pull this up over here. So at about 15 minutes, we have to get on, and I have to do a sound check. This is going to be a very special performance because it's going to involve some slides that I'm going to be doing for Joe as he's playing. So you're not going to want to miss it. All right. It's going to be, we've timed everything on this to be perfect. So the slides that I'm going to do are going to coincide with some of the words in the song and the lyrics of the song while he's playing, and he'll explain more. So you have to be there to enjoy it. Okay.
Powerful.
With that said, let's give Joni a big round of applause, everybody. Big round of applause. No, a big one. That means
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good, Johnny.
we'll see you real soon.
Thanks, Joni. 4 o'clock.
Thanks, Johnny.
And I know they discussed this
Take
before.
care.